Welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 62. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who is joining me this week, real quick, we'll go over what our topics will be for today's show. First up, Breath of the Wild 2 has been officially delayed into 2023. We'll talk a little bit about maybe what's going on with that project, what our hopes and dreams are for it whenever it does come out. Afterwards, recently, politicians have sent a letter to the FTC raising concerns over the Xbox Activision acquisition. We'll try and dig into what those concerns might be and how we feel about that, as voters in this country. Afterwards, E3 2022 has once again been canceled. This time, not just the physical show, but the digital show. So there's no officially licensed E3 thing happening this year. And we'll talk about what their plans are for the future. And finally, PlayStation has finally revealed the details of their new PlayStation Plus service, which is supposed to be a competitor to Game Pass. We'll talk about how maybe it stacks up and, whether any of us are excited to jump into that. But here to talk with me about those topics today are Ash Redux.
Yes, sir. Back at it again. And hopefully you'll see more of me later this week.
Blue Bones. I'm sorry,
What's
I
going
thought you
on,
were finished.
everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones BLUB0NES. I'm finally back.
Yeah,
We're good back as well.
Prodigal son has returned.
And Superman Jeff.
Yep. What's going on, everybody?
What up, y'all? It's been a while since we had this particular combination. I want to call this like the home team. All members of the Open Party. Been probably streaming the longest of any of the guests that we have on here. So it always feels comforting to have all you guys here with me. On that note, let's get into what you guys have been doing while you've been gone. A little bit of games you've been playing, little stuff you've been watching. We'll try to keep it shorter because we have 4 actual topics this week. So I don't know, one of each, let's say, right? A game, a TV show, or some other form of media that you want to get into. Let's pop it off. Who wants to go first?
Oh, let me hit this. Let me hit this. I can make
Alright,
my
let's go.
quick.
Yes,
I can make
my
my
man
quick.
about the ministry.
I hate you. All right. So, in case it's not noticeable, I am on the floor right now. I don't even have a desk in my house because I'm moving soon. So I've been playing nothing. That's why I wanted to go first because I've been playing absolutely nothing.
I just want to point out, though, that you holding the mic dramatically in front of your face has made
Yes.
your camera focus on the mic. And I think that's
good.
very funny.
Thank you.
It's
So
a real nice mic, by the way.
thank you again. I've been playing nothing, but watching virtually nothing. But me and my wife were mostly watching beforehand. The main thing was Ranking of Kings, but we've fallen behind on that. So now everybody who I've been telling to watch Ranking of Kings is already all the way caught up, and I'm the one behind.
That'd be me. Yeah, I did that too.
So yeah, I've been doing nothing. What I wish I've been doing would have been playing more Final Fantasy VII Remake, and what I wish I was watching would have been more Ranking of Kings. That's what I got. Done.
Good to know. Blue Jeff.
Hold up, Blue, go first.
What's going on, y'all? Yeah, first off, I just want to say big shout out and thanks to the Open Party. Especially, those who knew I had a death in the family recently and I was going through a rough time. Went offline for about a month and I'm back now. So thank you guys. And thanks. Yeah, like I've been trying to play a lot of different things and reach out my comfort zone. And I started watching a lot of stuff too, but I went back into GTA 5. They have some really cool stuff that they just added, and I just always find value when I play GTA 5. And I started and finished watching Avatar: The Last Airbender finally from beginning to end. I just finished it like last night. Super dope. I'm super happy I went through it. I'm excited to see Legend of Korra. I'd watched the first first season or so of Legend of Korra before. Didn't really understand it too much. It was cool. Didn't really understand it too much. So now I got a lot of perspective to go back into it. And then I've also been watching Ozark. That's typically a show that I don't really touch, but anybody who I've talked to, Ozark, they're saying that's the show to watch, and I believe fantastic. It. Yeah, it pulls on your heartstrings, or not your heartstrings. Your I don't know. I love Jason Bateman. That's why it pulls on my heartstrings. And I gotta keep remembering that he's a bad guy. Like I can't vouch for them. There's a lot of
it's more like he's in a tough circumstance, but he's not great.
Yeah, I mean, like I was talking to somebody about Arrested Development and talking about Michael Bluth, and he seems to be the good person, the rational person, but he's just as much as a jerk as everybody else. And so I kind of got to like stand back and look at these characters that I love. With Succession, it was Kendall. You know what I mean? At first, I was like, I love Kendall, and then I'm like, why do I love this man? He's terrible.
The worst.
Yeah, you know, and eventually you really get the sense of that, and that's what I'm kind of starting off with Ozark, not getting too attached to this character, but just watching the journey. So I gotta say,
Koenig A in the chat is asking if if Sokka's your fave.
Oh, honestly, Sokka is very high up there. Mostly because like this man did so much without bending. He held his own on a regular basis, and just like every time he stepped up for Katara was so brotherly. I loved it. Like she challenged Paku at the Northern Water Temple, I think it was, or Water Tribe, and was she's like, "Come on, go outside. We're just gonna throw hands." Aang was like, maybe we could talk it out." Sokka said, "Yo, no, let's do it. You about to get your ass whooped, son. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You just insulted her."
You hyping her up.
No, I love Sokka. I love Sokka. I have to say though, if I had to choose like a nation or a bending or something like that, I'm a Earth. I think Earth is going.
Earthman, okay.
Yeah.
Now for everybody, real quick, what's your nation? What's your bending style? Like I prefer this to like Harry Potter houses.
Of the four basic ones,
I definitely be fire.
Yeah,
100%. You know, I see that. Yeah. I personally like to think I'd be Water Tribe.
I could see that.
How about you, Ash?
If I got to pick, I think I'd pick water or air, but probably water just because honestly I feel like it's the most OP out of all of them, and it has like some of the most interesting
applications. Yeah, it's super versatile. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like it so much too.
Yeah. And bloodbending's OP, but I can't talk about Korra. I don't remember how much you've seen, but in Korra they do have a lot more with earthbending going on.
Don't talk about anything.
I'll just say there's more for earthbending. That made earthbending more cool for me by the end of Korra. By the end of it, I was like, hold on, earthbending might be the move, but that's all I got. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. But okay, thanks for that, man. Oh, last but not least, definitely not least, I've been jumping back into D&D, and I'm starting to build a campaign for the open party. I want to introduce this. We're gonna do a D&D campaign via Roll20 in the Discord and everything like that. So look forward to that. That campaign
should be fun. And if anyone in chat is not already in the open party Discord, the link is crap. The link is not under my tag.
The link is not crap, by the way.
No, the link should be somewhere under my whatever, but it's not. I'm gonna fix that at some point. But yes, Blue will probably throw it in the chat for everybody. So jump in there if you're not and you're interested.
OC Blocks and Jeff is a fireman. I support that.
Easy. That's easy.
I can't deny it.
Does that do it for you, Blue?
Yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for giving me the extra time.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. Jeff, do you want to go next, or you want me to go?
You can go next if you want.
I've really only been playing stuff that I've been assigned to play because I had a bunch of reviews due the past couple of weeks. With that being said, I finished Tinytinas Wonderlands.
Yeah.
I was really burnt out on the Borderlands formula, but Tinytinas has a new coat of paint on top of that formula, which helps a little bit. Like it reinvigorated it a tiny bit, but honestly, it is the same game. Like the gameplay is still very samey. So if you're not tired of that, you'll probably, be perfectly fine with it. But if you are, like, I don't think this is going to be a game changer. Like it wasn't what I was hoping it would be in terms of like a full revamp of the Borderlands formula. But with that being said, like it's still perfectly competent. So, check it out if you're still into that whole Borderlands thing, because I think at this point I'm kind of not anymore, which is sad because I used to love that series.
I heard that Will Arnett went in on that game.
Oh, he did. All the voice cast, I think, is really, really good. Like the writing is Borderlands, so it's kind of hit or miss depending on like some of the subject matter that they go into. But Will Arnett's delivery from top to bottom is amazing.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Same thing with all of them. Like I don't want to just shout out Will Arnett because Ashley Birch is great in it as Tiny Tina. Like Wanda Sykes is in it. Andy Samberg is in it. Like, they're all really good.
Oh wow, okay. They really went in with the cast.
They did, yeah. Like weird that they keep throwing all this celebrity talent at Borderlands. Like that movie still hasn't come out yet.
People love it.
True,
They like
yeah.
the series.
Yeah, and so George Lucas pointed out that I have been playing Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. That review should drop tomorrow, so I cannot talk about it officially until that embargo drops. But that's what I've been playing. In terms of watching, I caught up on Demon Slayer. Finished the Entertainment District arc. It felt really short, sadly, but like I don't call that a good thing, but like I am really chomping at the bits for more Demon Slayer, which is a good thing, right? Like I don't feel like the story has progressed far enough, but like
that arc didn't really push the story that far. It was more just dealing with that one Hashira.
Yeah, like I like that they're introducing you to more other characters because like the Hashira are all super interesting looking, and so far they've been interesting characters once you get to actually talk to them and see how they operate and stuff.
And how they catch L's. All of them.
Yeah,
I mean, they go out.
It's rough out there for Demon Slayer, man.
They can go out.
No. I can't hate on them. What I do want to say real quick, I liked that it felt short because the whole event did not take a long time. It was like what, 2?
Yeah, it was like a couple of days. Yeah,
yeah. So it kind of made you feel that speed, how fast this whole place got leveled. I'm not going to go too far into it, but
yeah, please don't.
But what I did like about it, specifically, is that it showed the growth of these guys. They've been training for a couple months. They said that at the beginning, and they have more composure. They all have more composure. So I feel like they had to step up off screen, and then you kind of see the results of it.
Yeah, they kind of do a bit of a training montage after the Mugen Train arc.
Right. And then even after this arc, where we start to go into like the final push, it really picks up. Like it really picks up like nonstop.
I'm excited for that.
Okay. Yeah, like I want to say like one of the most standout things about Demon Slayer is how they sell you on the stakes, right? Like they fought tooth and nail in the previous arc, and you saw how frustrated they were with their shortcomings, and then you see them work to try and overcome them, and it's like this new fight is still a struggle. Like they don't
tooth and nail.
Yeah, like it's not like when, and I don't want to like shit on Dragon Ball or whatever, but it's the only example I have in my head right now. Like Goku will get a power up, and all of a sudden it's easy to him, right? It's like the next fight is just oh, I'm now more powerful than you, point blank, period. Like no, like these guys work very hard, and they're barely scraping by in some of these altercations, and like you feel that tension and you feel that frustration. Like it's amazing.
You gotta remember, like these are upper moon demon, and Kuzan said this before. Like there hasn't been a change in the upper moon in
like centuries, hundreds of years,
like centuries. Like there hasn't been a change at all. That's why he kind of pretty much like, I don't know who's seen how much. I won't say much, but there hadn't been a change in the upper moons in centuries. So there's plenty of Harashima that fell to upper moons, and you see how even Rengoku, his fight, like how like he was on the brink of winning that.
He did win that.
Exactly, my man. Give him that. My man. He was running. He's like, oh.
Speak the truth, bro.
I'm out. He's like, and he told him, he's like, listen, you lost, you ran. He stood right here, tooth and nail, no regeneration, and he held his own.
And that, without spoiling, that situation is super important going forward because again, like it sets the tone. It's like, look, these guys aren't invincible. Like there's a real threat here with these people. So going forward, don't take it for granted that any of these super strong people are gonna be the end all be all, right? Yeah. So like, I'm super down with more Demon Slayer. Like I can't wait for them to make more. But that's pretty much it for me. What about you, Jeff?
Playing, man. Haven't got to play much. I did finally do the Destiny raid. That was fun. Fun and interesting. Okay. So some really good weapons from that. Didn't really care for the armor. It was kind of like, I don't know. Like when I'm like, Destiny is the one game where I really like to like match stuff, especially with the transmog system. I can keep my high stat pieces of gear and make it look like other pieces of gear and like make like a real good look. Like right now I kind of have like a Senkai / Power Ranger look with what I have going. It's like the Gold Ranger. But
Okay.
like the new raid, the gear didn't really add much to it. It's kind of like it looks like the armor is like alive, so it's like crawling kind of. So it didn't really fit into the aesthetic. Like I don't really see that working with anything besides the other pieces of the raid gear,
Uh-huh.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
so
It's too like outlandish or
yeah, like it's too out there for it to work with. Like oh, those boots might work over here, like type situation. So. That was my only letdown was the armor, but the weapons are really good. Like it has like a perk where if you kill something, you get health back.
Oh, that's
So they
so
have
useful.
Vampirism.
right. That was always like lifesteal was like always on exotics. Now we have them on some legendaries because now the
Oh,
sources
that's
that
handy.
the sources that you get weapons from they have their own like passive perks on them. So that's a passive perk on the raid weapons. So like Crucible
Oh, okay.
have their own passive perks. Strikes will have their own strike specific perks. And if you get something from Trials of Osiris, it'll have a Crucible and a Trials passive perk that you can choose which one you want to have active.
That sounds like science, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of science. It was a lot of science, but it was fun. It was
That's cool.
This was definitely like a more unique boss. More I don't know. He was more 3D. Like this one was actually talking trash to you. Like he'd run and come and kick you across the room and stuff like that. Like it was like, oh okay, he talking crap. Like he, as opposed to a couple lines and then damage phased. That type of stuff. It was a
Like
little bit more interesting.
Okay, so it's less of a mechanical thing and more of a kind of a
Alive.
cinematic thing, like a
No,
back and forth.
he was talking this stuff like while you were fighting him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, cause
Oh,
like
okay, yeah,
like
yeah.
Crota and stuff is like, oh, the boss is there. He's gonna do what he
Right.
does, like an animatronic robot.
Right. And he didn't really talk or say anything or really
Right.
no really like cool
They
interactions or stuff.
concentrating. That's the thing.
Right. Like, oh man, I'm trying to.
They be
I'm trying
sitting
to-
forward in their seat.
Right. Now,
Sounds cool.
besides that, obviously Elden Ring. I beat Millennia last night. That was a fight. Woo! That was a fight.
Yeah, I've seen Nick take her on a couple of times. Like he wasn't trying to beat her; he just wanted to show her off.
Right.
And she seems crazy because she is also a vampirism user.
Right. So the thing was this though, like, so I'm heavy in faith, but also heavy in dex. So I'm not like a real good, like I'm not really stunning people with my attacks. But like with her, I think I lost like 4 or 5 times. But like my summon, which was the Black Knife Tish, oh my god, he was like destroying her health. Like he was almost like taking her halfway down on his own.
Oh damn!
Because he has that special ability that cuts like their HP down by like 10%. So
Like you telling me? I don't know.
so he has that ability. I mean, he doesn't use it like super often, but like he'll use it enough to where we keep pulling her aggro a little bit. And then I got this incantation called Blood Flies, to where instead of me using a weapon to proc blood, I can send out these flies that are slow moving, but they track the target. So I done cast like 10 of them, and all 10 just hit her at one time, and you just see her health go.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's done. Now she had a second phase.
Yeah, she has. Unlike most bosses where they go into a second phase at half health,
Right.
she goes into a second phase after she's dead and then has a
Right.
brand new health bar.
Right. Because I avoided spoilers on any bosses. I was like, oh, okay. But the good thing is, it worked again. Just blood flies and just boom, 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 and just all hit it and just proc that blood. And because it's an incantation, it scales off of my faith instead of most blood scales off of arcane. So it just like destroyed her. Like it was oh my god! I was like, I did not know these blood flies were this useful. Like I was like, I should have been using this spell. Cause like I'm heavy on lightning. I have the red lightning, so it looks like a Sith Lord. Who's gonna love
Yeah.
that? Then I have like the twin blades to where like you put the red lightning on that and he looks like Darth Maul.
Okay.
Because it's like the double lightsabers. So that's pretty cool. So that was an interesting fight. And she's an optional boss, but she was, like I said, she's pretty difficult.
Yeah, I
And
want to say
now-
some folks consider her like one of the toughest bosses in the game.
Yeah. Now I will say another hard fight was you had to fight 2 of those godskin apostles.
Like the
I'm just
fat dudes,
saying-
right?
A fat dude and then the noble. the Godskin Noble, which is a little skinnier. You got to fight one of each of those, right? Then you fight them. They each die once and they come back once. So you got to fight essentially kill them 4 times.
Yeah, that's like 4 bosses.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it is. I was like, okay. And this is not a huge arena either. It's like a little small room. So it's like, okay, that was a difficult fight, But I do enjoy thinking about what I was doing, what was working. The least amount of pressure is on me when I have zero runes or like very low runes. Because I can kind of go see what's going to work, what's not going to work, without so much a pressure of I need to win this time. Like, let me see what's going to work. Let me see what's effective. Because there's certain resistances. It's like I don't look up the boss fights because I want to get to figure that stuff out on my own. So it's like this boss might be resistant to lightning, fire.
You gotta see what works.
Yeah, so it's just very interesting. I watched Moon Knight. I'm not going to go into that, but I thought that was really good. Not only was it a good Marvel first episode, but it was definitely a good episode for a show. Like, I think it did a great job at addressing his mental illness, and that whole situation between switching back and forth and how he dealt with it. And if you haven't watched it already, like KC, then shame on you. Yes, I'm shaming you. If you haven't watched it already, are you really living? That's what I'm asking you.
Shaming me.
I mean, last I checked, I was alive.
We was boys.
Check your pulse. I'm shaming you. Go ahead.
Hey, Jeff, I wanted to ask, and we'll talk more about it later. So since we got Blade, we got Morbius, and now Moon Knight, you think we're going to get I forget what they're called, but that one team?
Midnight Suns.
You think they're setting up for that?
I would think so. And something that gives a little, and it might not have any connection or some connection. There's a Midnight Suns game coming out as well, which is made from the
XCOM Firaxis, I want to say.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, now it's card based. It got pushed back. It was supposed to come out this year. I think it got pushed back until next year or later this year. Actually, I think it was supposed to come out last year. The Midnight Suns game is coming out. And it takes place with Blade. Actually, Wolverine's in it, which is weird.
Yeah,
but that's cool. There's a original character made just for this game. Now that usually scares me when they make original characters for games like that because they usually have like no soul. Like they're very like.
It's like it's a cipher for the player to be involved, and like they're like, oh, this guy can just use all the mutants' powers.
I'm like, okay, yeah. That usually doesn't work well because the character just has nothing to draw on. She seemed cool though. It's a female. I think she's called the Huntress or something like that. I think I'm not mistaken. But it seemed like it looked really good. My only drawback is that it's card use. And a strategy game, which is already kind of random.
I'm probably more okay with the card aspect because it's a tactics strategy game. Mm-hmm. But if it's too randomized, like what you have access to, then that's what's going to be problematic to me. Like if I can't pick, I guess, my deck from whatever cards I have, so that I go in with a strategy that I'm using, then I'm probably going to have a problem with it.
Right. So I would love to play like a demo before I subscribe to it. But it looks amazing. Like it looks really, 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 really good. They showed a boss fight with Sabretooth, and that looked amazing. Lastly, watching. I haven't watched much besides, like I said, Moon Knight, but I've been reading One Piece, and oh my god.
Yeah, I heard some big reveal just happened, right?
Big things are happening.
Baby Jesus, listen to me.
Be careful, Jeff. Be careful.
I love
please don't spoil whatever this is. I've luckily not had anyone do that.
I should call you specifically and do it, but I'm not. Remember that Ed Sheeran? Remember that Ed Sheeran thing?
On the Ed Sheeran thing.
Yeah, right. He called me and was like, "Oh, Ed Sheeran's in Game of Thrones," and I was like, "Whoa, bro, I didn't watch it yet. Oh, my bad." But if you're,
Jeff was really upset about that, yo. I've heard that story multiple times.
Yeah, I'll bring it up every year.
Please tell me why he was upset.
Yes, I didn't know Ed Sheeran was going to be there. That could have been a nice little surprise.
You don't even know who Ed Sheeran is.
Whatever.
You thought he was Ron Weasley for like 2 years.
Oh my god. What?
But
Yeah.
I love the way Oda writes. Like, this stuff will happen and you'll think it's out of left field, but then you're like, wait, like, there's been breadcrumbs left leading up to this, and like it makes sense. I know, like you're like, no, like you just like, yeah. But sometimes there's good ants and there's bad ants.
Okay, talk to me now.
Antes,
How did we get here?
Right. Boom. Dropped it. Dropped
there
it.
It is.
You know,
there
everybody got antes. You know, but well, like he'll give you a character's like origin or source of something, and then 1,000 chapters later, you're getting more of this character's insight, and you're like, you know what? It does make sense.
That sounds terrible to me.
Yeah, to be honest, the way you put that did not sound great. Like you get payoff 1,000 chapters later.
No, what I mean is like you'll get a character's origin, and you're like, okay, cool, yeah, I know where that character came from, I know about them, and you're like, cool, I understand that, I'm satisfied with that. Then later though, you get the backstory behind more of that, and you're like, holy crap, I didn't like. Damn, okay, that's cool. Like, okay,
well, I agree with that aspect because he's done that before.
Yeah,
but it's less like it's because the way it sounds is like, oh, I learned something, and it takes so long to get the rest.
No. What I mean
that's not how it. It's like
usually
you learn something and you don't know to think that there's anything more because it was already satisfying. Then you go off on all these other tangents because there's all this other good story, and then later on you realize there was something more there, and then it hits you like it's a surprise. That just may happen to be 1,000 chapters later.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
but the upside is that it stays interesting after 1,000 chapters. Like that's the upside.
It's like the treat you didn't know you were gonna get. It's like, oh, I didn't know we had more cake left at home. Boom, let me get that slice. Oh man, that's awesome. And then you grab a cup of milk and you eating that cake. You're like, oh man, it tastes that much better because I didn't know I was gonna have this slice.
And to piggyback off of Jeff, and I'll make sure I leave this as ambiguous as possible. The same stuff he's talking about, not even just for backstory, but just with abilities for characters to find out, like, you thought this was their ability. Everyone thought this was their ability, just to find out, oh no, that wasn't this whole time. We misunderstood what their ability was. There's so much more to this. Is a crazy thing to discover thousands of chapters into already established characters. It's just like, wait, this is what his
that can go two ways too. That can go two ways too, because like there have been other instances of that too, where it's like, oh, they've rewritten kind of what this character is because I don't know, maybe they felt like they couldn't go far enough with the way it was before, or it was planned all along and it feels more organic and like
this one feels organic in my opinion.
It does. We got to talk, Ash, but I agree with you. Like, it feels like
it got preservatives.
Get this man out of here. Get this man out of here.
But yeah, that's all I've been watching and
all right, cool.
And reading. Yeah.
So with that, we will jump right into what our topics are this week. Ash was super excited about getting into this particular topic. The fact that the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because it does not have a title yet, has been moved out of 2022, delayed into 2023, about a full year from when the announcement came, like spring, I think they said, right? So I was not surprised, personally. Like, we weren't hearing anywhere near enough about this game for them to really be releasing it at some point this year, so like I knew this was coming. But that being said, honestly, now that Elden Ring is out, like, what can a Breath of the Wild 2, or what should a Breath of the Wild 2 be looking to do to try and either match that quality or up the ante on it? Because prior to Elden Ring, a lot of people would say that Breath of the Wild was probably the definitive open world experience. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? I don't know if Ash wants to go first or last based on his excitement.
I don't have a preference. It's okay if someone wants to go first. I'm trying to think about the question you just asked right now.
It's like y'all never played GTA 5.
Ooh, I played GTA 5.
I'm just playing. I'm not going to do that to y'all. No, honestly, I haven't played either Breath of the Wild or Elden Ring. But okay, sorry. Is your mic on? Are you gonna buy it for me?
Yes, I will. Actually,
okay. Hey, y'all heard it right?
It's on. It's recorded on video.
So yeah, it's pretty much legally binding.
He's on Amazon right now. He's on Amazon right now.
Hey, get that 1 day Prime, bro. Yeah, no, I haven't played them, but I do have a deep appreciation for open world games. And I've seen, the reviews from people that I trust, like these guys here and some other folks. And you know, I feel like the hype that's been built up around, and I don't mean this in a negative way, okay? Just the popularity, I should say, that's been built up around Breath of the Wild, um, is gonna build a lot of expectation for the sequel. And sequels, people, there's gonna be a percentage of people that just don't like the sequel no matter what, because the first one's always better, right? And I think that's either gonna make the first Breath of the Wild go down in history as the best open world, or it's gonna push people off the whole subject, and Elden Ring will be the top. That's how I feel like it. I think this sequel has to be good enough to build. It has to be good enough to have both games be the definitive open world experience. There's a lot riding on this sequel. That's the way.
There's a ton of pressure for them to deliver here.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like while they're both open world, to me it's a different experience. There's things about Zelda that aren't like it's a Souls game and it's open world, but it doesn't still have the same interactions like Breath of the Wild does. Like you can grab your shield and slide down the hill, and you can parachute and interact.
I mean, they are different games, yeah.
Yeah, the way the enemy interaction is more organic as opposed to a set enemy like AI. Like this is how this enemy acts. Like there's certain interactions with the enemies based on how you interact with them. Like it's more of a evolving world. Now, as far as like the scope of the world and how big and how laid out and how little nooks and crannies, those things are you can compare those two things, and I think that's something that it needs to do different. It needs to add more, like, oh, there's a hole behind the back of a mountain that you can go into. There's like a sky fortress. Like it had some of those things, but I think it needs to go to the next step. And also, no offense, like I'm tired of Ganon. I've enjoyed Ganon for the first couple games. I understand that cycle, but I'm tired of Ganon. Like I want somebody new. I want something else. Like
I mean, they switch up the baddie every now and then. Like it was like Vati in Skyward Sword, and
the switch ups are very. This is my favorite backup one. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
The switch up character. Antagonists weren't that great to me. Like when I want that much effort that they put in Calamity Ganon to go into somebody else. And we saw something in the brief trailer. It was like kind of like a lich or a witch, undead witch or something. Is that like a witch?
we're pretty sure it's Ganondorf. If not, it could be Demise, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to be Ganondorf.
It doesn't look like Ganondorf. It
looked like Ganondorf.
It didn't look like Ganondorf. It looked like a witch. It was like some type of lich or something. Like it was like mummified. I don't think.
Yeah, because he was dead. He was dead. That's why.
Nobody would have buried Ganon. They would have just left him where he laid. Nobody would have been out here burying him and having funerals and stuff.
Is the witch spelled with 2 V's?
Is it?
Instead of a
yeah. But something different. And they have, like I said, the weapon system and stuff is great, but they can't just do Breath of the Wild and add some extra enemies and stuff like that. They gotta add a lot more to that world to make it the same experience from Breath of the Wild, but also a very different one, right? Because otherwise,
so make it the same, but make it different.
Yeah, and it's tricky. It's a tricky thing. If you make it exactly the same, people say, "Oh, you didn't innovate anything."
Yeah, you didn't innovate.
You didn't do anything. And then people
if you change too much, they say this isn't what I liked.
This isn't the game I played. So it's a very thin line, like you saw with Horizon Forbidden West. People were complaining that they used one of the same jump animations from the last game.
Yeah, that's just stupid, though. Like that's
you see what I'm saying?
Like that's like one idiot. Like that's
right.
Well, not one idiot because there were probably other people co-signing, but it's a group of like idiots.
Right.
Who I don't think anyone should just pay attention to or listen to because that's dumb. That's a really dumb criticism.
And also, why do you remember that? Like, what? Like it's gonna be a very thin line, but I would love to. I don't know if it'd be like a duo antagonist. Maybe somebody's trying to resurrect Ganon. I don't know. Like that would be really cool. Like I would love like to me, Zelda's always been story driven for me. Like I love the story. If the story is really good, the mechanics are good, and you gotta like some of those innovative interactions they added. They gotta go to the next step, and maybe being delayed an extra year is a good thing. Like I'm okay with a game being delayed an extra year if it's gonna be if it if it's gonna serve to the quality of the game as opposed
Yeah,
to
I mean, it's definitely not going to hurt it, right?
absolutely, absolutely. Because you got to think about it, like they're very slow with a lot of stuff. Like we still haven't heard anything from Metroid, nothing at all. So
I think the last we heard was that they were starting over.
yeah, they start over.
They're like, look, we messed up. We gotta scrap this and start over.
Oops.
So yeah, I mean, before Ash gets into his thing, real quick, I just want to say like, the thing with Breath of the Wild is over time some people have levied two big criticism against it. One is that some parts of the open world feel a little too empty. Like some people like that kind of downtime to feel like you're kind of exploring and lost in this space, whatever. Other people felt like there was just nothing to do, right? And then the other was that there weren't enough of like those big dungeon experiences that you get in like those four mythical beasts, whatever they were called, I forget. But like they were like four really big dungeons, and then there were like a ton of really mini dungeons. So like there needed to be something, I guess, to fill in that space in between those two extremes.
Those seem like
And
easy
so-
fixes.
Yeah, more
Yeah,
bosses.
that
bosses.
sounds like and bosses. You said?
I said more bosses, more like of those mini dungeons.
Oh,
That's what-
okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
If they take anything from Elder Ring, like you remember the Souls games, there was like 7, 8 bosses or so. You go from 7, 8 bosses to 40 about 40 different bosses.
Well, I don't know if the boss stuff
You know what I
is
mean?
like
I
the
mean,
strength for
Like the
but,
dungeons. Bosses are usually at the end of the dungeons, but yeah, like usually something similar to that. Like you go in, you got to do all these puzzles or whatever. You know how it goes.
Yeah, like because I think that exploration and puzzle solving aspect is more the speed of the Zelda games than it is like Elden Ring. Like Elden Ring is really kind of like the overcoming the adversity in terms of exploration and challenges. So like I can see why you get like 60 to 70 bosses in Elden Ring, and that's fun. I don't know if you could do that in Legend of Zelda and that still be fun, because like the combat isn't necessarily the best part of that game. Is really like that sense of exploration and like the really smart puzzle design in those dungeons and like the overworld situations. So I think that's where they should focus their attention. And yeah, if they're gonna basically make the world more dense, like you're saying, in that way, copy Elden Ring to make it so that you turn around and like there's a new interesting thing around. Those new interesting things wouldn't need to be bosses. They would need to be puzzle situations, which I think is a lot more difficult to do, or maybe just a different kind of difficult to kind of make interesting puzzles, or that many interesting puzzles over a wide swath of area. Like I do think they have their work cut out for them. So like the more time they take up for it, the better.
Puzzle. Like I feel like sometimes you're getting a puzzle overload. Some things is just exploration, not necessarily. Oh, I gotta use this ability to move this over, and then I gotta figure out where to move that thing over here. Those things are great, but I don't think there should be like every place you go shouldn't be dependent on that. Some should just be on exploring. Maybe you might need a certain item to go and do this thing at some point that you can't do right now, but you remember when later on when you get the item. Well, it's a puzzle. When I say puzzle, I mean
it's like a sequence.
A bunch of pieces got to be moved and move things around. They're all a bunch of synergy. What I mean by is like, let's say you might go to a lava area and you can't really go into this one area because obviously it's hot. And then later on you get something like cooling feet or something. And you're like, oh, maybe I can use that in that spot. And you go back and you're like, oh. And there was a little door here. You go in there and there's something in there or whatever. I don't know. Something behind that door.
Somebody put this
pieces
man in charge of the game, please.
Boom.
I need the cooling feet item in my inventory right now.
But
happy feet made a penguin.
Koning said, would we accept a new main character in
a
Breath
Zelda
of the Wild?
game?
Yeah.
I would.
I would like an alt character. Like I always wanted to play as the Zelda in Breath of the Wild. Like she was there. She seemed pretty cool, but like you couldn't really play as her. Or even if
You just want to hit Naru's love all day. That's all you
all
want.
day, boom, every day, no matter where I am. But like, I always wanted to play as a Goron too. Ever since Majora's Mask, where you could play as one, you put the mask on, you can spend like those things were cool. Like the different races were pretty cool when you could play as them. So I wouldn't mind. I don't know if there'd be you could pick your character, which would be a little bit more difficult, I guess, depending on because of the story. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. It depends on who the character is.
So check this out. Link is running like a Heroes Academy now, right? Because he's all old and stuff, right?
Oh.
And you are the newest recruit. And
I don't want to be.
You would talk about like creating a character.
I don't want to be.
Get out of here.
I'm corny.
No.
You play as Ganondorf's son.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't be mad at that.
That sounds super dope.
Right.
I'd be open to playing as a new main character as long as that character like has connections to the story. Like this character means something to the other characters and not like an outsider that's coming in.
Yes.
Like that, I'd be more comfortable with that.
Ganon's son sounds dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Like a young Ganondorf.
I think that was some speculation that folks were thinking that this new game would be like a young Ganondorf story.
It'd be like
but I honestly don't see it.
Like a connection of like Nathan. Oh my God. So in the comics where before you introduce Kang's actually mentoring his younger self to make sure he goes on the same path. But by doing so, he alienates him, kills his beloved. So now he's a younger version of him.
What are you talking about right now?
So I'm thinking about like, what if they did like a younger version of Ganondorf before he was like jaded and stuff or whatever happened, and he gets transported into the future, and he doesn't know that this is him, but through the course of it, he finds out that this is him while he's trying to stop him, and now at this point he has a choice to make whether he becomes that person or he goes and stops himself.
Put this man in the writer's studio today.
In there. Boop.
I'm still wondering who Nathan is.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Oh my God, I can't think of the last name.
Drake.
Nathaniel Richard. So Kang is actually a descendant of either.
Oh wait, you talking about Marvel stuff?
Yeah, I figured you would say that when I said Kang.
Marvel?
I said Kang.
See, I heard King.
Bro. Yeah, that's
King.
what I heard.
But you also never mentioned that you were pivoting into Marvel. Like,
Well, you gotta keep up, bro.
I thought there was Zelda comic. I was like, oh my God. I am
Well,
really
there are Zelda mangas, though.
I said comics, son. Ain't nobody saying manga.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a Japanese comic.
They got that.
yo, why you shut my man down?
Actually, reading that
Because
link.
just specifically said comics.
It's a Japanese comic.
Actually, reading that Linku hentai.
Chill.
Link, my man Linku. Like,
Oh, no.
All right, Ash, go ahead and speak your piece on
yes.
the Breath of the Wild
Please
stuff.
shut Jeff up.
You've been waiting.
Break it down.
I had so many thoughts for some of the stuff you guys were saying, but I knew if I kept coming into those, we would never get through anything, so I just kept my mouth shut. I had so many comments this whole time, but to the actual original topic, what was I gonna say? Jesus, there's so much.
I don't know. You telling me?
But so I wasn't surprised, like you were saying, Casey. I wasn't surprised that it was delayed. I was hopeful though. The only reason I was hopeful was because I was thinking, games are obviously more complex than they used to be, but I was hoping with the whole Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask, how there was only a year development between those two games because they use all the same assets from the previous game. Now, granted, and obviously, they're adding the whole verticality with being in the sky with whatever's going on there. And, there's different abilities, but still with Majora's Mask, there was a whole new area with still new abilities, the whole mechanic with being able to put on the mask. So there's still a lot of new stuff that they added, but they still cut a bunch of time by using the same engine and the same assets for a lot.
Right. It's not weird for any game sequel to use the same engine and assets, right? Like it's Zelda that's kind of weird that they've only done it one other time.
Right. And that one other time though, they got it pumped out quick because usually, like you said,
within a year.
They don't do it quick. That's not the normal thing, especially with their like main original IPs. That is not. They don't do yearly releases for those. So the fact that they did that. So when there's like, oh yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, I was like, oh, maybe they'll get. I didn't expect it to be within a year. Don't get me wrong, but I was like, maybe they'll actually get it out in 2 years. They might be able to pull that off. So when they delayed it, I was like, I'm still not surprised. It just seemed like, back to what Jeff was saying, it did make me feel like they are trying to do something the same but different. They're trying to be making sure that it's interesting while still keeping the core mechanics of what made Breath of the Wild. Excuse me. So I'm hopeful for it. I think that they will do a good job. Going to what Blue was saying, I do think that they will be successful. I think that's why they're delaying it, is to make sure that they
Somebody
make this game
said
better than Breath of the Wild. But
they delayed it because they didn't want to be in competition with Game of the Year with Elden Ring. That's what somebody said to me. I'm not pointing who those people were. They, they said it to me, and they have on a black shirt.
I've seen some Twitter talk about stuff like that. I think that's BS.
I'm just saying, you were the one who said it to me, so
No, it wasn't.
I'm gonna say, although I do think I would like to see who would win in Game of the Year between.
Oh yeah,
those
that'd be
two.
a close one.
I would actually like to see who would win, because Elden Ring is popping off real well, and then Zelda. So I would like to see which fan base would like show out more for voting. I don't know how many people in between those fan bases too who would vote for what. So that'd be kind of fun.
That's the thing. Who gets to vote? There's like a million different Game of the Year's awards things. There's like maybe the one big one at the awards show, but like Nintendo doesn't base their value on whether or not they win
don't,
Jeff
which is
Keighley's
why I was
award,
like,
you know,
they don't care about the award shows.
because you're gonna buy it anyway. That's
exactly.
their
That's what they care about.
They don't care about what the consumer likes, much less.
They don't care about your online services.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't care about nothing. They just said, "Hey,
Yeah, so
this out, you gonna buy it, right?"
I cannot imagine that they were like worried specifically about like going up against Elden Ring. So like, oh, let's just move the date a full year. Like, nah, they want to do something and they haven't gotten there yet.
Right.
So I'm just curious what it is
They
they're
went
trying to
toe-to-toe with
accomplish.
Doom, bro.
So from what the stuff that they showed, and it's kind of so when Jeff, we were talking about the cooling feat items and such in the sequences. I feel like the main reason they didn't do that for Breath of the Wild was because they wanted to just give you everything you needed to go wherever you want it right off the rip. Like right after you get done with the initial area, you like get the paraglider, you sail off. At that point, they give you every item you need to basically be able to go anywhere. Even when it comes to like different climates, you don't have the right armor, you can make food that'll let you survive in those climates anyway. So like they give you something so that no matter what, you can go to any area you want at any given time, instead of the more linear route, which is basically what every other Zelda was, which is you go here, you get this item. Oh, now you have access to the other area. Or you usually, though, to keep it easy, you needed that item for the area you were in, but it might give you secrets in a different area, which I don't mind. I like either way. Yeah, like cooling boot feet items. So I like both. I actually missed a lot of the linearity of the regular Legend of Zelda, even though I really loved Breath of the Wild, just because like Casey, you were talking about one of the gripes that people had were some areas were still like too empty. What lore wise that made sense. This is after the calamity, all this stuff happened. They're still trying to recoup after everything, so that's why there's just a few big settlements, and then like the places where the horse tents were at and stuff. So that's why there's only a few big settlements. There's not many people just out and about. So everywhere else is just creatures, and they didn't want to just turn into Hyrule warriors and just leave a crap ton of creatures everywhere either. So I feel like that's why it was like that. I didn't mind the literal breaths of fresh air in between like a bunch of mobs of enemies and stuff. So I thought it was okay. But I definitely understood like why people would feel like that, but it was just too empty. So I'm hoping that with Breath of the Wild 2 that they're taking this time off to one, whatever the new stuff that they're doing with, like you saw the stasis, but instead of just being stasis, because it was the same color and effect and everything, but it actually like reversed the effect of whatever the momentum and physics of. So I'm sure that's complicated. Their physics engine was already really like crazy in Breath of the Wild. The ways that people figured out how to utilize that.
It's like a what's the word? Like an immersive sim level of interaction. Yeah. Right. Where like there are rules in the world and you can make use of them in ways that the devs have zero control over because the systems are just going to do what they do.
Right. And
like,
now,
if they're trying to expand upon that, like that might take some doing.
Yeah, they got to account for every new thing that they add, and because they don't want to make it broken. Even though there was things you could do in Breath of the Wild if you wanted to be like you could just let yourself fly off on a minecart
Yeah, folks
if you do it
figured out
right.
some wild. Still, like folks are
Wild
still
stuff.
doing super wild stuff in the first game.
Which is what makes it awesome too. Is just finding us. Even if I don't do them, when I see the videos, I'm just like, "That's insane." I'm gonna try just to do it one time. Oh, that was hilarious, and then I just go back to playing how I want to play it. But the freedom to play it however you want is really so. I think they're really trying to figure out how they can still keep that same freedom that you had in the first game, but add in these new items that won't just completely easily break it, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what. Especially with some of the stuff we've seen. Remember when they showed the patents for how he like went through the bottom when he like teleported up or whatever, flew up, and he went through the bottom of that floating island and then came out on top or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw the patents for that and them like trying to draw up when that does and doesn't work. And I can't imagine having to worry about like the slanted slopes. Basically, it's like the area where you enter in has to meet certain criteria, and then where you come out on the other side has to also meet that same criteria. So it's like you have to account for that for every single platform
Like
that they're making.
surface in
You're
the
right.
okay.
And since you have to do that for every single one, that actually has to matter. I'm assuming that could potentially like glitch out or cause bugs. So that stuff like that is definitely going to take time. So I don't think this is a bad thing at all. I'm hoping
Mm-hmm.
that with that extra time too, that they might even I at this point I feel like they already have all the new ideas that they really want to do. I think they're just trying to make sure that they actually work and mesh well.
Yeah, yeah.
For
Just
mechanics
polish,
wise,
full
anyway.
year
Yeah.
polish.
Yeah, because they're gonna need it. But for story wise, that's the one I'm really concerned about because the whole thing with Breath of the Wild was that after you get off that little tutorial area, you could go to Ganon if you want to. It's gonna be hard, but I've seen people do it. They get off the island, they go straight to Ganon, Calamity Ganon, and they beat the game, speed
Yeah.
run it. It's the most speed run friendly game I've ever seen in my life, and people still find ways to do it quicker. But I don't know what they're going to do with this one. That little extra bit of gameplay that they showed in the delay video
Mm-hmm.
showed again. At least I didn't look at it again because I didn't want to pry too hard. I wasn't sure if that was the Master Sword again that was broken. I didn't pay too close
No,
attention
yeah,
to the
it
hilt.
was definitely the Master Sword. Yeah, and it
Okay,
was
'cause
like broken blade, kind of
I was
corroded at the end.
I was worried because I saw when I first saw it, and I was like, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to look at it again. I was going to do it before we had the podcast, but I didn't have time because I had to leave today. Um, but for a second, because it reminded me of the whatever they called it before it was the Master Sword in Skyward Sword. I don't know if it was just called the Skyward Sword or not. You know how the design changed, like even the hilt color changed as it continued to upgrade until it actually became the Master Sword in that game.
No, I never
But
played through Skyward
oh,
Sword.
geez. Well, all right.
That game was bad.
Hey, 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 hey.
What is it? Is
That's
that
it.
not universally considered the worst Zelda game?
I mean, other than the Philips CDI ones, I guess.
Yeah, we don't
I
talk.
think
We
it is.
don't. Those aren't. What are you talking about?
We don't talk about those. Those don't
exist.
exist. But I think that I wasn't sure. I was gonna go back and look. I was like, is that the how like did it regress to being before the Master? Because people were talking about how there were hints of fee fi, whatever you want to call it, the spirit that dwells within the Master Sword that
Hmm.
they introduced in Skyward Sword, and that you can see that in Breath of the Wild. There were moments where you see the Master Sword like glow as if it was trying to commune with either the Deku Tree or with Zelda or anything like that. So people were insinuating like, oh, that's fee fi, whatever, trying to commune. So I was wondering if it got to the point where that happened again because you had to upgrade and get it there. So I was like, did it regress back to where it was like in the beginning of Skyward Sword? That would be kind of crazy. But yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I just hope that, like Jeff said, it's same but different. They keep the freedom. They let you go about it however you want to play the game. You can get as much story as you want or as little story as you want. I would hope that they do it a little bit more in your face this time, though. That's why I said I don't miss. I don't mind the linearity of Legend of Zelda because I do come for the story as part of it too. And with Breath of the Wild, you can get no story whatsoever if you want, and I don't necessarily like that. I don't like that I have to look that hard for a lot of the story. I like the exploration, but I don't want to look for the main thing that I came for. I just want that given to me. The extra bonus stuff, like the hidden secrets, the actual
I
hidden
feel you.
lore that is extra. I don't mind looking for those. It's like it'd be like if the only way you got story, and I don't know if it is like this, but I'm going to use Control as an example. It's like if because I didn't play Control. If the only way you got the story in Control is to read the little messages and letters and listen to tapes the whole way through. I am not a fan of a game that does that. I just give me the main part of the story, and then I can find out hidden
like
stuff.
Extra stuff on the side.
Like,
okay, yeah.
Like, oh, you found more about the villain's motives if you actually did some exploration. That sounds cool. I'll do that. Like, that's an extra tidbit for people who took the time. But just give me what I came for, like the base version of the story, and then I'll look for that. But yeah, so I'm all right with the delay. I wish it was still coming out, but I trust them with Zelda. They haven't disappointed me. Even with Skyward Sword, it wasn't the best, but I wasn't fully disappointed. I didn't have any motion control issues, so that's probably why. I never had a single motion control issue. So
I didn't have an issue with motion controls. I hated motion controls. Full stop. Like they worked. I just think they sucked.
I was young, so I enjoyed it.
We'll move off of the Zelda stuff and move into our next topic. Essentially, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, a lot of Democratic politicians have sent a letter to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, over the Xbox Activision acquisition deal. They've penned a letter stating that they have concerns that the issues facing the workers, like in terms of sexual assault allegations and whatnot, their rights, etc., will likely get overlooked and forgotten in the wake of this deal. And so they're kind of petitioning them to look into it heavier to make sure that that's not the case, or maybe to stop it altogether for fear that it will be troublesome to the employees, which is I'll say I think it's kind of an odd position, being as how we heard from a lot of actual Activision Blizzard employees immediately after the Microsoft deal. Like Jason Schreier, I want to say, was getting some information out about like kind of the temperature of the actual workforce in the wake of that news, and they all seemed pretty optimistic in terms of a change in leadership being a way to help get their issues resolved. And I think a lot of like the gaming media and whatnot were of the mindset that this is good because this forces Bobby Kotick out of the picture, right? And like there was kind of no way he was going to leave without that. So I don't know, like you guys have read over some of the stuff that was in this letter that they wrote. Like what is your take on kind of where they're going with this?
For me, the FTC usually decides if there's some type of like conflict of interest, or if it's going to like create a conglomerate to where there's not going to be like fair business practices, to where like this particular, let's say like, I don't know, McDonald's bought all fast food restaurants. Now they can set their prices. They can do what they want. Blah, blah, blah. There won't be like any fair business practices.
Yeah, like monopolies and such.
Right. To me, this is them interjecting their opinion. You know what I'm saying? Not based on any actual facts or anything like that. That's like saying a child that gets taken by the authorities. We call them DIFAs here. Gets taken by the authorities because they're not being fed at home. They're being abused. And they put them with a foster family, which is a better home, right? That's like someone saying, "Oh, well, that's not solving the problem. What's really happening isn't going to get addressed because they're put in a different home." You get what I'm saying? Like that's why the things will get addressed, because the people who were in charge for whatever amount of years where it wasn't getting addressed will no longer be in charge, or have another, well, hopefully gone, or a different type of person to where there's no connection. Like before, they were able to get away with this stuff because they worked together for a certain amount of years. It was like that bro culture to where, they kind of sweep stuff under the rug if they were cool. Now we're going to a whole separate thing. Microsoft isn't going to stand for that type of stuff. Hey, this gets reported, it's going to get taken care of, especially since it happened in the past. Also, there was a letter written to where Microsoft said they would recognize any union that Blizzard wind up recognizing it. So there was no chance that they got a union and they came over to Microsoft's like, kind of, oh yeah, we don't recognize you guys. No, there was like, if it gets recognized, we will definitely recognize it when the merger happens. Like there won't be any like, change of, there's no unions or whatever it is. It just seems like there's something more behind. Like I don't think I've heard them speak about these allegations. I mean, the things that were going on with Blizzard and Activision before this.
I'm not sure about that either. Yeah, I don't know if anyone from Capitol Hill weighed in on that stuff. Like when it was like like a brand new story,
Mhm.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
that is one thing that concerns me. Once the money got flashed around, then we're hearing public officials. That being said, I don't know if I trust. I hear what they're saying. I don't know if I trust Microsoft to be different. We only know about these things after the fact.
Hmm.
So Microsoft could be. I think they have the potential to be just as bad, and they're talking all this good stuff so the merger can happen. Um, and yeah, I understand the fear. This could be a big distraction to, not necessarily maintain that culture, but I guess transform it to look like something else and still be abusive. So we really got to be careful with the wording that goes down with all this reform. And I think that's kind of what this letter is saying. Like we need to be very careful about how this merger happens to protect the employees. And I think everybody but it's a shame that it's coming after the bill. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Like to me, it would have been more genuine if they were already behind the workers and supporting them and making statements, as opposed to now all of a sudden showing up. To me,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it kind of sounds like lip service, right? Like they want to
right,
be part of the conversation,
right,
just in case something happens. They can be
right,
like, oh well, we were on the side of the workers when
right,
whatever occurred.
right. And like I said, I gave that analogy before, but like, it's more likely that these things will go unaddressed if the current situation stays as it is.
Yeah,
Number
because that was the
one,
current situation.
yeah,
Like they were
like
unaddressed in the
right.
current
The
situation.
same people that were running the company are the same people that are running it now, where all this stuff happened. So if we left this the same, it's more likely that going, whether it was Microsoft or anybody, that them getting acquired by somebody else would cause a change, because the last thing you want is to have an apple. What is it? A poison apple from the poison tree or whatever it is, to where
Yeah, that poison
those
tree story.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, those, you know that story I'm talking about with the poison tree with the feet, with the cold feet, and you come over and now we have those same things about Microsoft. They'll see themselves in the same situation Blizzard, like their stocks
Mm-hmm.
dropped, like like if this kept up, like
If
if they
they
didn't get
get
acquired,
caught.
I could see them going under. I could see them going under. And not, well, not because they didn't have any bangers coming out. It's because they were a shitty company.
Yeah, like they were definitely facing a downward spiral in the wake of these allegations. Like, and especially with the fact that the person in charge refused to take any sort of accountability, right? Like, I mean, he paid lip service, and then immediately you find out, oh no, he was also part of the problem in a big way. And
Right.
it's like he's like, well, let's not talk about that. I'm gonna continue to try and fix the problem that I helped create, and that I'm in charge of. Like, I just won't, I just won't go. Was kind of how that felt. So like, I will say, part of the letter that they were writing seemed to echo a lot of concern that a lot of like the player base and like general populace had, in that even if Microsoft buys this and starts fixing issues from their side, from the top down or whatever, Bobby Kotick essentially gets a golden parachute and he doesn't really face any problems. He gets to kind of just exit gracefully out into the ether or whatever. Like, people weren't happy about that, but I, for one, was the mindset like, I don't know how we get to him. Like,
Right.
like in what situation other than the lawsuits? Like, if the lawsuits go through and he's held accountable or whatever, like like there's no way anything is gonna happen to him based on like his role in the company and like the allegations that are coming out. So like, it's
They
kind
just
of,
settled a
it
lawsuit
sucks.
too.
Yeah, they just settled the one with the Equal Employment Opportunity
Right.
Commission, but there's still some other ones that I think could they
Yeah,
still have to pay out.
there's
Yeah,
still a bunch of them still under.
If
but
you
the
watch
thing is,
Succession, you can see the attitude behind that sometimes too.
right?
You know what I mean?
Like, it's just
It's just a
politics
number.
and visibility and
At the end of the day, it's just a bill. It's a number.
yeah. So like I know that he does need to be punished, but like, we live in a society where like that's just not the case. Like, you
It's
don't
gonna be
really
fine.
get that vindication all the time. Like, the worst of it is probably going to be a fine, right, for like the most rich and powerful in this country. Like, I like, it sucks, but like, I can come to accept that as reality. This sounds like the politicians want to pay lip service to that fact. Like, they know that it's probably going to be the case, but they want to complain about it before it's the case, so that they kind of sound like they're not complicit in it. And I don't know why they felt it was necessary to do this. Like, it's probably some other political play that they're going to be going for in the future, and this needed to be out there on record. But honestly, like, this, and I think it's already stated, like, this letter won't affect anything really. Like, the FTC is going to make a decision based on, you know, information that they have.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but this seems strange, and it seems political in like the worst way. Like, this is strategic and doesn't actually mean anything.
Right.
They pandered.
Yeah. Yes. It's like, this team just won the Super Bowl. Oh, that's my favorite team now. Or that's what you know what I'm saying? Like, they seem very like they're looking for that vote for something. Like, they're going to be calling upon that vote at some point. Hey, remember, we supported you guys when this was going on. We were there. Like, we're all about this and that. Mm-hmm. But then you weren't. Like, if you were going to be there, you should have been there, you know, in person, making statements, you know, showing up. Not just, this is going through, let me write a letter. And they're just not writing a letter now. This is as
early as they could think to get in on the ground floor of whatever it is they think is coming.
So, will Microsoft address these things? I would hope so. Because, like I said, their blowback will be a lot bigger than Activision's Blizzard. Because, that was these people. No, you took this company, you knew these things were going on, you didn't make adjustments to address these things, so now you're a bigger villain than when they were just by themselves. Do I hope they will? I think they will, because with them in mind,
like they've said as much.
Yeah, they have to be knowing. Like,
hopefully they'll.
We taking on this problem child. Yeah, like that's when Batman took on Jason Todd. He knew there's something. This was a bad kid.
Oh my goodness, everything's a comic with this guy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something more that has to be done.
A manga.
But it's,
all right. On that note,
the bad stepchild. You know, he knows there's something else that has to be done to help fix this. Because
actually, he can't doing yoga.
Look at him too.
But okay.
Yeah. Stuff.
So anything else on this particular story before we go into the E3 stuff?
E3. What E3 stuff?
Yeah. Well, exactly. E3 2022 canceled. Done. Finito. They have said though, they are planning to basically come back with a bigger, not necessarily bigger, but like a more traditional E3 experience next year. Right. But with them taking the full year off, like no presence whatsoever. Like, will people care? Because we're gonna get our summer news somewhere, right? Like,
IGN is doing their summer of games again.
Yeah, IGN's doing that. Jeff Keighley has his Summer Games Fest event as well. So, like, we're gonna get our news. Just E3 won't be involved in any capacity for this year. Like, do you think this will have lasting effects on their ability to come back as a trade show?
Hope so.
I think that they already were like going once. Nintendo basically not at E3. Sony's not at E3.
Sony's not. Yep.
So they only had Microsoft, and then they had, like, I think who was there? Square, Bethesda, Activision,
right. And Bethesda is now Microsoft. And technically, Microsoft had floor space for, weirdly enough, Mixer the last time they had a presence there. Their actual showcase was in their own theater. Nokia.
Yeah, so they're not even using.
So they're not using E3 as like the main stage, but like they were still patronizing it.
So at this point, I'm just like, I think E3's dead, honestly. I don't know what they're going to do next year. They really have to like come with it, maybe organize it in a way. Because I remember a long time ago, before I'd even been to any like gaming convention, I was talking to somebody. He was like, huh?
Nothing.
Okay. I saw someone, he was like, yeah, I've been both to E3 and the PAX. And at that time, I was just like, oh, E3. Hell, he's like, E3 is cool, but PAX was better because I actually got to play the games. He was like, E3.
E3 has always been for like industry insiders and press, right?
So
like
if you're not
going,
if
you were going to like try to get a look at new stuff, like those were like behind closed doors meetings and stuff. Like PAX is for the public. Like that's where you can get that kind of experience. So
he was like, if you're not going there as press or anything, it doesn't really matter. And now that everybody has their own, I forget, we got Nintendo Directs. I forget what PlayStation's are. They called Directs too?
State of Play.
State of Play, thank you. They have their State of Play. Xbox used to have their thing back in the day. I don't remember what it's called, but I used to watch it when I
Inside Xbox.
Yeah,
I think, maybe
Xbox Inside or something like that. Yeah, you got it. That was.
But yeah, they don't have like a branded name for their stuff now.
Yeah, but
you need to get on that
because Twitter works.
I mean, you're not wrong. So yeah, but everybody has their own thing, and people drop their stuff like throughout the year. They don't just wait until like they do. Don't get me wrong; they still wait until that time of the year because they're still like that expectancy. Once June comes around, it's like, oh yeah, we got the summer's games fest.
Right. Yeah, they use like the whole summer now, right? Like it's kind of spread out over the whole time. Month or two,
right?
Versus like a single week of just the biggest announcements for the year,
right? And usually, I feel like it's always been this way. The summertime isn't big for video game releases. Like summertime until about September.
They take a bit of a break. Yeah.
Usually, like you would get those Naruto Ninja Storm games, or you would get like you would get like Madden. Like those are around that time, or you get like those off-brand games like Transformers War for Cybertron. Like, but like the games that everybody was looking forward to, like the AAA games and stuff like that.
You have very specific example.
They were.
Yeah. Those are just games that I remember around that time. I remember those games around that time too. Like
they all ended up being paid too. Like.
They were. That's true. And it's like, so summertime, people were like really like, oh well, I'm not playing anything. Like, great. But I would love to hear about some of the great stuff that's coming out. So it was like a very good time. Like I remember E3 just like 3 days of hearing nothing but game. Even at work, pulling it up and listening to the presentations of what's coming out and the anticipation and the shock and awe when they announce stuff. So like, I would like to see, even if it's not E3, as long as that summer tradition continues. But I feel like in order for E3 to contend with everybody else and get them to come back, they're gonna have to do something different. And I'm not sure what that is, but they're gonna have to do something different because a lot of people are getting away from the in-person thing. Even with COVID kind of dying down, the in-person E3, I don't think that's ever gonna be a thing again.
I mean, they're gonna try for sure, and like before the pandemic and stuff, they were trying to make it more of like a PAX type situation, or like a what's the German one called? Gamescom.
Yeah.
Where, because that one is as big as E3, it's a trade show, but then they have all their press and industry stuff like the first couple of days, and then they have the week of like actual public people and events and stuff for them. Like E3 was going to try and pivot to do something more in that vein, but like they kind of got screwed by the fact that the pandemic was coming around, and also by their own hand, because like they had the big privacy thing where like a bunch of like people on their list got hacked because like they had no security. So like they were already like in a bad way, and people were already pulling out because of the just the overt cost of like doing the trade show and stuff, and like much easier options. So like I wrote a thing about this a while back about how that was kind of like the death knell for E3. And I'm not happy to say it because like Jeff, like I always loved E3 as a concept. I always wanted to go. Like I've never been to an E3. That's like one of my industry dreams, like getting to go as press and like check out new stuff and talk to people and whatever. But like it doesn't seem like it's viable anymore, and it doesn't seem like it's going to work going forward. Like I don't see them really coming back. Like we'll probably get a couple more attempts from E3 trying to come back. And, like they probably still have connections with like big wigs in the industry. So like, maybe you'll get a Microsoft. You'll definitely get a Ubisoft involved.
Ubisoft will do anything.
Exactly. They're ubiquitous. It's in the name. But yeah, like I do think it's over for E3, and something new was going to rise up in its place, or at the very least, just something that everyone agrees on doing in that summer time frame that kind of hits those same big news notes.
Which I think that's what they're doing right now, at least anyway. Because everyone says they're like big directs or state of plays and stuff. At least from last year, it seemed like saved it to that time of year, or still, worked with Jeff Keighley to get some announcements during the Game Awards and stuff. Whether it be the Games Fest or the Game Awards, which is never coming year, still. It seems like they're still trying to keep the expectancy of come during this time of year for the big reveals. For the most part, so I do enjoy that
because E3 was big when gaming wasn't as popular as it is.
It was as mainstream,
right?
Yeah, like E3 used to be the thing that got on the radar of the mainstream, right? Like news reporters would be like, oh, because they would make the biggest announcement. They was like, oh, remember that super popular console you love? The sequel is out now, thanks to they revealed it at E3, like stuff like that. So. yeah, it doesn't like games are big enough on their own. They don't necessarily need the force of the ESA, which is the people who
Yeah.
put on E3
Like your
to
kids
like
grow
get
up
their
and
message out there.
they don't need you anymore. Oh, I'm
Kinda,
grown.
yeah.
I can
No,
do it
that's a really good
alone.
analogy.
I'm independent. Like ooh.
So yeah, I mean, if anybody's curious about the thing I wrote back in 2020 about the death of E3,
That's what
I
we
put
do.
a link in the chat for
You
you.
love killing stuff. Oh, your favorite games should be able to die. Ooh, E3
People like reading about
dead.
the death of stuff.
You
What?
love killing stuff.
I didn't kill it. I'm just writing about it.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot the messenger. Don't literally,
That
but
we heard it here first. Jeff's philosophy is to shoot the messenger.
you see what they did to him in 300. You can't go around disrespecting kings and stuff and just think you're gonna bring the heads of dead kings to their doorstep and threaten his people with slavery. That's just not how it works.
I'm
Now
sorry, but
watch him.
Leonidas was out of line
He
for
was
kicking
not
at
out of
me.
line. That man came in with heads and whatnot. Let me bring some heads, some cut off heads to your door and see how you react.
But anyhow, let's get to our final topic and close up today's show. PlayStation Plus, it's back, baby. Coming in here with a new and improved service, 3 tiers, right? If you guys don't know, starting in June, PlayStation Plus will now have 3 tiers of service. There's PlayStation Plus Essential, which is exactly what PlayStation Plus is now. You get, your free games every month. You get access to online play, and that's pretty much it. Other than after that, you get PlayStation Extra, PlayStation Plus Extra.
That's a dumb name.
That one kind of combines the PlayStation Now service, which previously was a separate subscription, and that allows you a library of about 450 games, I think they said. You can download many of them to the console. Some, I think, play via cloud, but that is in addition to the benefits of the previous service, the Essential service.
And that's just for PS4 and PS5 games, though, right? I think the
Yes,
premium
that's
is
like
the-
whatever's in the Now library, which is PS4
Okay.
and PS5 stuff.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
And then,
And then
their
finally,
first-party games
PlayStation-
weren't included, right?
Yeah,
I'm
not
mistaken.
yeah, like whatever's in the PlayStation Now, which is not any of their recent first-party games. No. So, but their final tier, PlayStation Plus Premium, essentially gets you 350 additional games added to that library. They've not really specified what those games are, but I believe those games probably include the bigger selling point of Premium, which is you get access to backwards compatible games. Like you get PS3 stuff, PS2 stuff, and PS1 stuff. But the PS3 stuff runs off of the cloud because they don't have a way to have that run natively on the actual hardware because the PS3 stuff processor is still a mystery to Sony and everyone else involved.
I will say,
And with that, you get like game demos for like their new stuff, whatever, and then you get like some extra discounts and perks and whatnot. But either way, no matter what tier you're paying for, even the highest tier, they've stated that you will not get access to their brand new first-party exclusive games with any of these services. Like they won't be offering them as part of these streaming services like Microsoft does. And I think that's the biggest differentiating factor between these two services. So, what are you guys' take on what Sony is offering here? Are you interested in signing up at any tier level, or like, is this kind of a disappointment?
disappointment because I feel like another thing is they make it very complicated. Like simpler is better. You have way too many different tiers with what's included and what's not included. Like that's very confusing for the consumer. Like this is PlayStation Plus, whatever you're gonna name it, catalog or whatever it is, $15 a month. You get all these games. That's it. Not, or you can go here for the premium. Like I feel like I'm going to get a car wash, and they're asking me which tier that I want for my car wash. Like it's a
You want the
lot.
light service or
Yeah, like you're spreading things very very thin. They could survive off of without just the third party games, but how long before the first party games are on there? That's
Yeah, they haven't specified
Yeah.
because like they will have like, cause I know the PlayStation Now stuff and the stuff that'll be rolled into the extra tier includes stuff like the first, well, not the first God of War, but the God of War remake.
Right.
I believe Death Stranding is going to be on there.
Miles
Probably
Morales and the
Miles Morales and like so their stuff will probably eventually come there, Like my best guess is probably after like a year or so. But like the whole day and date thing, which is one of the biggest aspects of Game Pass, and what makes it like such a highly coveted thing, like would work especially well for Sony because Sony is the one who has these super high quality exclusives. But because they're so high quality in Sony's mind, they're like people will pay a premium for them, and they will, so they're gonna leave them off. And they can probably have their cake and eat it too in that way. But then again, who's gonna subscribe to the service if it doesn't have that main reason to subscribe? Because I personally don't want it at this point. I already played PlayStation Plus, but like I've let it lapse in the past and had to like remind myself to go back and get it. So like I'm probably not going to upgrade to anything else because I don't play enough on my PlayStation.
I will say I'm glad that they got in the game. I'm glad that Game Pass has a competitor. I'm not saying that they came out strong, but I'm glad that they got in the game. Unfortunately, and what I was going to mention, like Spaz is talking about, Game Pass kind of swung back with that family plan coming out. That's going to make what was already a cheaper service even cheaper. So that's going to be fun.
Right.
But hopefully, PlayStation will take what they have now and evolve and make gaming overall more affordable.
Right. And Game Pass will push them to make their service better and vice versa. Hopefully.
Yeah, right now, it's good to see that even with the kind of response to PlayStation Plus's new thing, Microsoft is saying like, oh, we're still gonna sweeten our deal. Like they're not complacent, right?
Yeah.
And saying like, oh well, we won. Like Sony did this thing and it's not exactly what we're doing, so we won. We can leave things as they are. Like no, they're still trying to evolve it and make it even more consumer friendly than it was. But I wanted to real quick. Lampy pointed out earlier that Game Pass also has 3 tiers.
It does.
What I know that there's Game Pass Ultimate, which is the combination of PC and console. But like, what are the other tiers?
Yeah,
so
I never.
it's more options. So you have the Xbox Live Gold, right, which is just online. And
just online. Yeah, Gold. Right.
And then you have Xbox Game Pass for console or for PC, which is the same, right? And then you have Ultimate, which is everything. So when I say console and PC are the same, it's just like they're separate.
No, yeah, like okay,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because those like rather than tiers, those are more feels like they'll feel like different services. Like if you don't have an Xbox to play on PC, then you would need this one versus that one. If you play both, then you can get a deal on both. So like, I don't know. I feel like that's a little different, but I get it. Like there is some confusion there too.
Also, a bonus with Ultimate too is I believe, because if you get Ultimate, which is what I usually get anyway, because it gives me Xbox Live, I am then able to play with other people who are on Xbox anyway with Xbox Live. I think if you just get the regular PC version of Game Pass without Xbox Live, you won't be able to do like the cross play with people on that game. I think if I remember. So that also
I don't know
because the regular version of Game Pass doesn't have the online subscription. They kind of got to wait. So Gold is by itself is like $9.99.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes more sense to get Ultimate, which is $15.99 because of the price. I think Game Pass by itself was around like $9 too. If I'm not mistaken, or something like that. But if
I think almost
no choice, look at it.
Right, like the regular Game Pass version doesn't include the online subscription to play multiplayer games.
Yeah, it's basically for people who like adamantly don't want Ultimate. Like they're saying like I don't want Ultimate, I want just this versus just that. Then they have an option. Right. But like Xbox is basically saying like, look, just pay this and we'll give you everything.
You get everything.
Right?
Yeah.
So, But I personally, like if anything, once I get a new job, maybe I will subscribe to like the $15 tier because that's what I'm paying now for Ultimate on Xbox side. So like I wouldn't think it's too crazy to do it on PlayStation side, except for right now, like I'm not playing PlayStation games, so like it does not make sense for me to be subscribed to that tier to get those older games. But like their premium tier, like I don't care about their backwards compatible library enough for me to pay extra for it.
And it's $19 a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, them legal emulations that I have on my PC will do me just well. So well.
Yeah, because on Xbox side, like their backwards compatible stuff is just included. Like it's just par for the course with their, like you're not paying extra for that.
Right.
For that.
Now,
library.
granted,
like Sony is putting that aside.
You do got to give credit where credit's due, though. Sony's got a lot more titles than Xbox does, too.
Well, I had questions about, right?
Yeah, because third party, it's about
it's about the third party stuff. Because Sony has a ton of third party support for PS1 and PS2.
Yeah,
but like, how much of that are they putting on that library? Like,
and that's really what I was kind of like. I know they have a crap ton of old stuff.
And one thing,
but like, what's in there?
About this, to me, it's once again, it's not a tier. To me, it's a package deal. A tier is when there's level 1, level 2, level 3. This is more you can buy gold or you can buy ultimate. But if you buy, you can buy gold or you can buy Game Pass. But if you buy ultimate, it comes with both, which is more of a package deal as opposed to a tier. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like buy two get one, buy one get two or whatever it is, whatever. Yeah, exactly. So it's not really a tier. It's more of a bundle, like Lucifer said.
Oh, you're saying like, because in comparison to the PlayStation one, it's like you get PlayStation Plus, or you get PlayStation Plus with a little bit of Now, and then you get PlayStation Plus with all of PlayStation Now, basically. Because that's how I got from the structure, right? Is that basically what it is?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Except I think the little bit of Now is all of Now, and then they're adding like the older stuff. I think is like what the premium tier is.
See, I never used Now, so I didn't know what was in the
yeah, I didn't either. Lampy says that's not true, Casey. What's not true?
That's not true, Casey. Try again, Casey.
It says Now currently has PS2 and 3 games. Oh, okay. So I didn't know that.
Well, then that kind of makes it. Well, I mean, it's still. Lampy, I saw you say earlier that it is cheaper than paying for both separate, so that's still a good thing no matter what. But it sucks that then they're making the tier 2 only have some of Now, and then tier 3 have the rest of it. So it's like they took the service, bundled it together, but then split it. Is that kind of it? Is that Lampy? You let me know because I didn't use Now.
I'm gonna be pissed off if I'm scrolling through that library and like half the stuff's like gray because I didn't pay like another $4 a month.
Right. That's
weird. Like, you look through the library and it's like, the one game that I thought would be in here because I paid to have access to the library is a couple dollars away.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna feel kind of frustrating.
PS4 or PS5 one.
That makes it very like I said, that's where it makes it very complicated. Then I gotta look up what games are included in this and what games aren't. Is it something I want? Like, it should just be pay a price. I can see if their online service was separate. Is their online service included in this bundle, or do you still have to pay for PlayStation?
At the lowest tier, the essential tier, it's included.
So when you go second tier, it's not.
It is.
No, it isn't.
No, it is. Yeah,
it always
because each tier just adds stuff to the bottom one. Like, it doesn't remove anything.
I remember seeing a price. Let me double check.
And I get what Lampy is saying too, why they split it that way. And at least they made tier 2 the more modern games, because they're like, most people, quote unquote, will want the modern games, and then for the people who want the older games, they go to tier 3.
Because that's pretty much where I would fall if I was going to subscribe. Like, I'd probably go on that middle tier, and I think most people are going to go that middle tier. The premium one is they're trying to squeeze the people who are like the most loyal, the most diehard, right?
While also making it seem more prosumer for those who are like the more the younger crowd potentially. For the parents, they'll be like, "Oh, you don't want the most expensive one? Yeah, sure, whatever. I'll get you that one. You can get the one."
Okay. So anything else to add on the PlayStation Now?
It's not on PC and it's not day one, so I don't care.
Wait, no, there is some PC crossover, right? I can't remember the specifics of it though.
Let me go back. Wait, show me.
You look it up. Damn.
I'm scrolling, but someone show me. I have bad eyesight. I wear glasses.
I think it's like cloud stuff on PC. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, it's just streaming.
Offers cloud streaming access for PS2,
like
PSP, PS4 games.
Well, you said PS4, PS5 games? Or those,
they can stream games using the consoles and PC. Okay, so I guess whatever you can stream on the consoles, they probably have a PC application that allows you to stream them via PC as well.
Okay.
So
I might care.
It's not like a PC Game Pass where you download it on PC and play the PC version, but on your PC you can stream those games there.
So as long as your server is good, then I'm okay with it. My internet's fine. So as long as your server is good,
all right,
then I'm okay with it.
Well, that's all I got on that topic.
All right, then. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Ash, why don't you let folks know where they can find you and what you'll be doing this week?
Prayerfully. You will see me later on this week at Ash Redux on Twitch, in which, with my new GPU, I will actually be able to create the content that I used to create before games started saying that my old GPU was not enough to do that. So, listen, I've ever heard. Trying to stream while recording your face cam and the gameplay separately, so I have multiple applications up, so I can have the clean feeds to edit it however I want.
I do that all the time.
Oh, well, that's good for you. It's good for you. I couldn't do that.
Welcome to the club, baby.
You're good enough for me. You're good enough for me.
You've always been good enough for me.
Aw, thank you, Blue. But yeah, so now I can finally do that again because I wasn't able to anymore for newer titles. Yeah, so hopefully you'll see me. I'm gonna try to say, hopefully tomorrow, but definitely Tuesday. That's what I'm gonna say. You're gonna definitely see me Tuesday. Spaz has been telling me I need to hurry up and finish Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I'm gonna go hard on Final Fantasy VII Remake. And then after Final Fantasy VII Remake, I also will be eventually, unless my wife lets me, because that'll consume my time, get Elden Ring either during Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I will stream Elden Ring and hate my life as well. So there we go.
Respect.
Sure.
Respect.
Sure.
All right. Blue, how about you? What do you got coming up?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones BLUB0 NES. On Wednesdays is coming back to the Open Party channel. Make sure you tune in and check out those dubs. Team Synergy offline has been high, so hopefully we can bring that to the streams. And Friday night was with Blue is still pending, but at the very minimum, catch us Wednesday on the Open Party channel. It's gonna be dope.
Cool. Superman Jeff, what do you have coming up this week?
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be doing some Destiny, doing some Trials of Osiris. I was about to say Elden Ring. I'm like
Trials of Elden Ring.
The Trials of Elden Ring. No, I'll be doing some Trials of Osiris tomorrow. So come through for that, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and also we'll be dropping that first review breakdown of Moon Knight episode 1. So that'll also be coming. Stay tuned for that. And if you're not a part of the Discord, then you're missing out. So definitely pop into there.
Yeah.
And see what all the fuss is about.
Yeah,
that's all you got. Yeah, that's what you got for me this week.
Sweet. As always, you guys can find me at Sigma Gears 9 here on Twitch or on Twitter, where usually I'll post out whatever the next thing I'll be doing is. Later today on the Open Party channel, we'll be doing Super Smash Sunday. Ash, are you still joining us for that?
I will not be able to join for Super Smash.
Oh, sadness.
Next
week. You better run. Yeah. Sucker.
he just stopped talking like
I'll take it. I'm just gonna take it.
Man. So yeah, it'll probably be Jeff and I giving out the sweatiest of L's on the Open Party stream. So join us at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I mentioned a little earlier, I should have a new review dropping on the Escapist YouTube and website tomorrow on Star Wars the Skywalker Saga. So check that out, as well as other streams throughout the week. I can't think of anything else I worked on recently. So on that note, I'm just gonna say peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks to my 3 hosts. Thanks to everybody in chat communicating with us and staying tuned. Really appreciate it. Love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Hasta luego.